So, first and foremost, I want to welcome you all here tonight, and I want to give you all a round of applause. I think we should all give each other a round of applause for stopping and investing in our knowledge and our networks. I'm Leonard Sekionda. I'm the CEO and founder of MyComeUp, which is an online magazine centered around showcasing and sharing stories on, I feel like, the underdog entrepreneurs that the mainstream media isn't writing about, whether that be through our magazine, which is, basically we have journalism going on the magazine, but we also do media, so we interview people and share their content on our YouTube channel and within our magazine. So if you want to be in the network and be in the know of what's going on, we're doing a lot more events, we're doing a lot more content series which share stories like the ones of the entrepreneurs that will be on the panel. But our goal really is just to create a space where people can learn, develop, but in a practical sense, because I think motivation, inspiration is great, but we also need practical steps to take in the next step. So that's what we're doing here. And we've partnered with Juni, which is an incredible brand new banking system which is designed for media buyers. Now, what I mean by this is the future is going to be ads, and a big problem for those of you that are starting to run ads, I'm sure you're aware, is that the bank sometimes doesn't understand, your success. So what Juni has done is solve that problem by adding credit facilities and systems in place so that you can run ads efficiently without your bank being frozen. So we've partnered with Juni, so I want to give them a round of applause because some people have flown in from Amsterdam today. So give them a round of applause. And definitely a big part of this is working with them and being able to kind of get this value over to you, because they're also very invested in, building that connection with you guys. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce Jack, who is the Director of Customer Success, and he'll be hosting the event and leading it. So let's give him a round of applause, Jack. And I shall be... do you want to... Whichever side you feel. I'll come this way. And I'll be...
Thank you very much, Leonard, and thanks to everyone for coming out this evening. It feels like super normal life has returned, which is absolutely excellent. Let's get straight to it. So we've got 4 absolutely fantastic guests tonight. The idea is going to be, we're going to have a pretty open panel discussion. It's going to last about 45 minutes. There'll then be a Q&A at the end, which we've reserved half an hour for. So please do save your questions, note them down if they come early. Hopefully that'll be a super engaging part of the evening. And then we're going to do some networking and drinks afterwards for those who want to stay. So let's get straight to it. The first person I want to introduce is a guy called Leo Olsen. So this man started a business at 17. He made £1 million at 20, so it makes me feel super inadequate. Marketing agency and commerce, does some courses in social media consulting, and is also an absolute master at optimization and selling things online. So Leo, if you want to come up and grab a seat, that'd be awesome. Let's keep them coming. So the next man I want to introduce owns a watch brand called Beckii London. I was actually perusing the website earlier, and they're absolutely stunning. I'll have to talk to him about getting one later. Not only does he have a super successful e-commerce brand, he actually loves giving something back as well. So each watch sold supports a child in sub-Saharan Africa, and he's actually led to the education of over 5,000 children off the back of that. This guy's also a TEDx speaker. He was initially mentored by Richard Branson, and actually, just to add to it, he makes a bit of music on the side as well. So I want to welcome to the stage Will Adosi. So we've got 2 more to go. It keeps getting better. So a lot of you will know this man as the Ecom King, aka Kamil Sattar. So this guy is an absolute genius when it comes to drop shipping. He wrote the book on it. He sells courses on it, some free as well, and does a lot of mentoring in the space. this man decided to throw an event at 2 days' notice the other day, and 100 people turned up. There was literally standing room only, nearly as busy as it is in here tonight. He's got 240K subscribers on his YouTube channel, and you can go and watch him on Channel 5 tomorrow on the catch-up page. So I'd love to introduce to the stage the Ecom King, Kamil Sattar. And then last but very not least, this woman started creating content at the age of 12. You know, when I was at school falling off my chair, she was out actually doing stuff and being super productive, was in Forbes 30 under 30, has an influencer marketing agency called Pepper Studio, and also her own website, saintrebecca.com. They've got some unbelievable clients as well, so go compare, finish, The Week, and actually one of my favorite TV shows, MasterChef. So I'd love to introduce to the stage Beckii Flint. Thank you all very much. Let's get straight into it. I mean, the first question I want to ask the panel, because I know a lot of you guys started at quite a young age and had a lot of success reasonably early. What led you to starting a business? So Leo, why at kind of 16, 17, what led you to get started?
Does it work? Does it work? Yeah.
You're good.
Well, I just wanted to make money, so that's why I started a business. And yeah, I always wanted to do business. I always wanted to be an entrepreneur. Do my own stuff because I'm not really good to work. I'm not really good at working for other people. So I just my first business was selling iPhones. So I was buying broken iPhones, and I had my geek friend who was like repairing them pretty much. And so I was selling them between France and Switzerland, which is where I'm from. And that's how I started, if that answers your question.
Yeah, nice. I mean, you've got to start somewhere, right? And Beckii, I mentioned in the intros that you were making content since the age of 12. What led you kind of down this road of entrepreneurship and quite a wide variety of different things you've done?
So I'm from a really small place called the Isle of Man, and through the power of the internet, it really opened my eyes to like how big the world was and what kind of possibilities could be out there for me. So when I was like 12, my videos went viral in Japan, and it led to, I guess, like a career over there, whilst also, being in school like in the UK. So it was something that like just actually proved to me like I can have a different life to the one that I thought that I could have. And so starting my business, it's been a long journey, It's been over 10 years of doing social media, doing YouTube myself, doing like the influencer game from the influencer's perspective, and then gradually kind of coming towards the brand side, and now having my business, Pepper Studio, for just over 2.5 years.
And I think, we're all here seeing four super successful people. Obviously, it's not always been easy. Kamil, when we talk about roadblocks at the start of your business, what do you think the biggest challenges were, and like how have you dealt with them? And I'd actually love to open that up to the whole group as well.
Yeah, can you guys hear me? Before I carry on, can somebody move that blue light? It's really harsh. I can't even see because it's like very blinding. That one right there. Yeah, that's better.
Can you do the red as well?
Yeah. Okay, cool. So my biggest roadblock for myself was probably myself, because growing up, I failed every single grade at school. It's on the internet. Everybody can see my grades. And I come from a background where I didn't have like lots of money to start my business. So I had a lot of people that doubted me from school as well, growing up, teachers. Everybody thought I was this kid that was just stupid, didn't know what he was doing, doesn't know how to read, doesn't know how to spell, and all this kind of stuff. So I think fighting myself was my hardest problem.
And Will, in terms of your business, and you're obviously selling directly into consumers, what have you found the hardest part of starting to build an audience? I would say for your business, actually like converting people who come onto your website to actually buying stuff.
Yeah, I think especially in the early days, the big thing is understanding the sales funnel. People always throw that term out there, but it's fully actually understanding it. It's understanding how to gain that awareness, gain that traction, and using the right language and using the right methodologies to actually convert those people. So yeah, for me in the early days, it was fully understanding the sales funnel, understanding where our consumers naturally were, and knowing how to gravitate towards where they were.
And let's talk about making money. Like Leo, you mentioned it before. How long did it start? You said you started the business because you wanted to make money. How long did that process actually take?
Well, it's like a step-by-step thing, right? It doesn't come overnight, and it's like, I mean, at the end of the day, the money you make depends on, yes, your work, but also like if you're lucky enough to find a good market, right? So for me, it took me, I think, a year to actually start to make a good income from my, to actually be able to live from my businesses. So I would say a year for myself, you know.
What are the kind of other experiences along the panel about that? Do people like agree, disagree? What are the differing experiences on that question?
So the question, is it making money or being able to be sustained by the money you're making, I guess is the question I have.
I think you should go for both, Will.
So in terms of making money, on our launch day, like I was over the moon, we sold like 13 watches, and I was like, yay, that means there's actually a market. But actually being able to be sustained by the business probably took about, a year and a half till, I could actually pay myself a decent wage.
And obviously everyone here has kind of picked their niche and their craft. Beckii, yours, you're obviously killing it from the influencer marketing perspective. Like, what actually led you to select that as your craft, if you like, and then grow your business from there?
I think with anything that you do, the best way to do it is do something that you're really passionate about and you have that kind of organic connection to. And for me, as somebody who was creating videos from such a young age and being an influencer before the influencer word was even created, it's just something that I've always been really passionate about. Is not just consuming content online, but also being part of those communities that also contribute and create. So and similarly, the business side of it. There's so many like dodgy dealings going on in influencer marketing. Like so many companies like trying to have one over on the influencers, and you can fall into so many different like traps and get exploited along the way. And going through those experiences, you become quite savvy to how other people are operating and finding out actually, I'm passionate about this industry. I'm passionate about the people who are in this space, and I want to build a business that's going to help to protect them and treat them with the respect that they deserve, because in my experience I wasn't treated the way that I would have liked to be treated. So I think solving that need and doing something that you have that personal connection with is really important.
Yeah, and you mentioned there like dodgy dealings, or what do you think you guys wish you knew now that you didn't know then, when you first started out?
I can jump in. I wish I knew everything I knew now. There's so many layers to it. I guess going back to what I touched on earlier about the funnel, I wish I knew that from day dot. Another thing I would say, especially in I guess the community I grew up in, there wasn't much knowledge around finance, so I had no clue about investment. I remember one of the first meetings I had with someone, they sat me down, they said, okay, you're starting this business, it looks great, what's your exit strategy? And I was like, I have no clue what that is. I had no clue. I didn't know what a VC investor was or any of that. So I think just that gap in knowledge, being, a lot more knowledgeable about the investment space, about the full marketing mix. I wish I knew that at the start, I'd say.
And how about you, Kamil?
I would definitely say, because I'm quite young, I first started my online business when I was 15 years old. And I wish I knew more of the legal side of things, like legal things like copyrights, trademarks, more of the tax side of things. Because when that tax bill got put on my plate, it was quite a hard pill to swallow. So I definitely recommend that anybody in this room, before they start their business, they look at the legality side of things and they look at the tax side of things as well. That's probably, I would say, the biggest thing that people need to really think about.
And how, when I think someone starts a business, they don't necessarily, they're probably not a lawyer or they're not a tax expert, etc. Leo, what advice would you have for someone starting out in terms of where to go for advisors, who to listen to, how to do things?
So I would say that if you don't have a lot of experience, whether in business or in a work or like any specific industry, I think it's actually a good thing because you're going to think by yourself. And I don't know for you guys, but when you start to get more experience and you've been through a lot of like business situation, then you want to start a new thing, a new product, a new business or whatever. And you're already seeing all the potential problems and headaches and stuff like that. So you're just like, fuck this, I'm not going to do it. But when you're young, you just think about, oh yeah, I can make this work, right? So first of all, being young or inexperienced. So being inexperienced, I don't think that this is a bad thing. I think it's actually a gift because you kind of you don't have your head full of things. You just go and you act, you take action and you just do your stuff. And then what was your question again?
I was saying, what would you advise, someone starting out to where to go for that outside counsel and knowledge that they maybe don't possess?
Yeah. So I think, first of all, you need to think by yourself. Because that's, at the end of the day, making it online and just making money with your own business, whether it's online or in real life, is not easy. Otherwise, everybody would do it, right? So I think just thinking by yourself and just looking at the world can give you ideas. So I would, first of all, think a lot by yourself. And then you just want to have you just want to be a naturally curious person, So every time, right. Let's say, for example, I see a guy go to a guy's house, he has a nice house and stuff like this. I just ask him, what do you do? What's your business? What's your job? Whatever. So you have to be a naturally curious person and just ask a bunch of questions. So I would just ask a bunch of questions, reach out to people. If you see a guy that is successful in an industry that you want to, or an industry that you want to go in, or a business that you want to start, just reach out. They might not respond all the time, but just reach out, ask questions, and then take those answers and start taking action. So I would just do this. And then, as the others said, I would, as soon as you get a little bit of money, I would just hire a proper accountant and stuff because when you just start, you just don't really know all those things, and then it becomes a big mess later. So that's how I would do it.
For sure, and I think they're talking about some advice and outside counsel. I would love to open this one up to the group. What do you think the worst advice that kind of you've ever been given in your time in business, or you've maybe gone to someone to seek that consultancy type piece and they've said something and now you're like, oh my God, that was really not good?
Yeah, I just want to step in here. So this goes across the whole question you asked. So the first thing that I would say is it doesn't matter if you've made £1, £10, £100, doesn't matter. You need to go on to Google and you need to search for whatever industry you're in, let's say e-commerce, drop shipping, then accountant. Then you can go on there, you can call them for free, and you can just get some general advice. Because even when you set yourself going, the worst thing you can do, and I'm being God's honest truth, is you don't want to get, let's say, £30,000-40,000 into the deep end. Then you start asking for expert advice because you would have paid a ton of money on tax anyway. So if you get the ground going first, and you can get free advice anyway, you don't need to pay to get advice. A lot of these guys will give you advice for free. And then the biggest mistake I see a lot of people do is they ask people that are not even qualified for advice. I've got a free group on Telegram, and people are in the group saying, I need help with my taxes. And there's a guy from the States advising a guy from the UK how to do his taxes. How does that make any sense? And you've got all these American guys advising guys from Chicago, New York, and every state's got different tax rules anyway. So you need to be very careful with where you're getting your advice from and where it comes from. And you can get it for free as well, so just be careful.
What do you think about that, Beckii?
100%. I think that's a very similar kind of rule to what he just said, is having your house in order is so important, and especially for that first year, it's not about making the millions. It's about keeping the roof over your head and growing, like having that sustainable growth that can support you. One of the things that we did when we started Pepper Studio, so myself and my two co-founders, we were part of a influencer tech agency which collapsed and went under, and suddenly all of us were without jobs, made redundant just overnight, and it was a really difficult time. But what we ended up doing was, we said we have this golden opportunity right now where all three of us who love working together and really believe in the work that we do and our attitude toward the industry, we can take this this opportunity and go forward and start our business. But coming from such a turbulent time and seeing, right before our eyes, a business being so poorly managed, and they were taking a lot of investment, they were funneling it into tech builds which didn't have a clear kind of strategy as to how it was going to recoup that kind of money, and eventually it tipped up and everybody lost their jobs. And I think coming from a startup business that went wrong meant that we were very conservative with our approach going forwards. So making sure that we keep building our war chest so we can pay our salaries if there's any dips in, clients or seasonality or anything like that. Making sure that we are really hot on our tax account. So we set up a separate account in our bank just for tax, and every single penny that came in, 20% of it, 30% of it went into a tax pot. So we were always going to be covered for that. But similar to that, preparedness is great, but sometimes the hardest thing is just starting. And I think that taking that leap and just saying, let's give this a go, because if you don't, then the time will get away from you. You'll always be waiting. I say the same thing for anybody who wants to, start their own YouTube channel or Instagram or anything. It's like, I don't have the right camera, I don't have this or that. It's like, just start, and then you'll find your way along the way.
I ran my YouTube channel off an iPhone camera till I hit 100k subs. So you can do it on an iPhone.
It's about what you say, not how it's produced, right?
Yeah, nice. And you just mentioned there, you talked about preparedness and they say, what do they say? Fail to prepare, prepare to fail. Obviously, no one could prepare for what happened a couple of years ago now. Will, how did you react to that? How, I know everyone in the panel is very online focused. How has that affected your business? And what did you need to change from then to now?
Yeah, it was a super interesting season for us because we had just done like a host of pop-ups in Covent Garden and other areas of central London. So we were really gearing towards launching our own like space here in London, having our first store. So yeah, we were just super excited. And then the Panini hit and we were like, whoa, we can't really go down that path anymore. So for us, it just enabled us to double down on online. So as bad as it was in a sense a blessing for us as a business because yeah, we just funneled all our energy, all our attention into understanding this funnel, understanding how to draw the attention of people online, because attention is the highest commodity right now. So if you can garnish that attention, you can bring them into your online store. The more people you have on that store, the more likely you're going to convert. So yeah, for us, it was a pivot in a sense where we pivoted away from going to the physical realm, which in turn again ended up being a blessing because we ended up being stocked in some pretty large stores in the States now since. So yeah, for us, we just doubled down online, doubled down with our presence, which then attracted buyers from Macy's and Nordstrom to buy from us.
And Leo, if you kind of had the superpower that you knew that was coming, do you think you would have reacted in the same way to how and treated your business as you did, or do you think you might have done anything different?
Yeah, I think I could have done it different. My biggest fail was actually just right after success, because I got quite lucky and I just started my first business. It was successful, so I got lucky on this. And then when you just do success after success after success, then you think that you're like invincible, and you think that, oh, I can sell anything I want, whenever I want and stuff. And then you just stop to like learn. And then, so here's the thing, there's always like a delay between like your results and the work that you put in. So if right now you work on something, it's gonna pay in 6 months, So pretty much I was successful not from what I was doing today, but I was successful from all the effort I put in like 6 months to a year ago, right? So my biggest mistake and fail came when I started a software company. So pretty much I had my marketing agency, and then I started a software company, which was pretty much a software. It was called startio.com. Don't search it up, it's a big fail. But it was like pretty much a software to create sales funnels. Spent a bunch of money on that, and then I thought like, oh, like the brand is perfect, I'm gonna know how to sell it. But it was not my game, you know. Software is not my game. I'm not. I don't know anything about coding or developing or anything like this, right? So it was just a huge fail. So I think could I have done it different? Yeah, if I would have stayed on the same thing, which is very important to stick to the same thing, do more of the same. And I could have definitely avoided it. But now I learned from it, so this is not a mistake I'm going to do again. So I guess you have to go through this. I mean, failing is normal, right? It doesn't mean that because you fail now or because you fail your next project, it doesn't mean that you're not going to succeed the other ones. And also there's always ups and downs. Today I'm doing, right now I'm doing pretty good. And maybe one of you guys in like 2 years will do pretty good and I'll be doing pretty shit. So it's always like up and down like this. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so I want to, So I want to jump in here. So how many people here have a Shopify or e-commerce store selling products online? I would say the majority of people, right? So I would say from the global, the global thing that happened, what we did is we looked at, because a lot of people switched online, you know, it actually helped the e-commerce boom a lot. Now, a few things that we had to do to make our businesses really successful during this period of time and still successful is we had to integrate things like virtual reality into our stores, because people can't go into the shop anymore because, one, they're either scared because they don't want to get the COVID, or they just can't go to the shop. So how can we give them an experience where they can see the product without being in the shop? So we started integrating VR where you know when you go on the Apple website and you can see the phone in your house, we started interacting that into our stores to help people see what they were buying. And we also had a look to see where consumers were spending most of their time on social media. And we saw that TikTok was is the biggest one right now. So we had to learn how to do influencer marketing on TikTok. Pardon me. And we had to also learn how to do TikTok ads effectively. Because all these other social media platforms like Instagram and Facebook, their market share was getting destroyed by TikTok. So we had to learn how to do that. And the biggest advice that I can give people here right now is don't get too comfortable with what you know. So Facebook ads is everybody's comfort right now. It's easy. It's what everybody knows. But are you learning the new things? I absolutely fucking hate Google ads. I find that shit so boring. But it's so consistent, I have to be good at it, you know? So the biggest advice here is you have to get out your comfort zone and find what's now doing well and adapt to it.
And there you mentioned, you know, different platforms coming to the forefront. And Beckii, I know, you know, you running an influencer marketing agency. How are you kind of finding that ever-changing landscape and making sure you're kind of staying on top of it and one step ahead of the curve in order to be super successful?
It's definitely keeping on top of the pulse of where is everybody's attention being spent at the moment. You know, we're seeing actually quite a lot of our Instagram influencers that we work with, their engagements reducing on Instagram because actually the time of day, you know, the screen time percentage that people are spending on their phones, it's shifting over to TikTok. And why people go to TikTok is for a different reason than they go to YouTube and Instagram. So all these different platforms serve different needs to different people, and it's important that the content that you create for your brand with the influencers is reflective of actually what's your best, you know, objective for the platform. For example, it's more difficult to get people to go off-site of the social media platform than it is to get them to stay within the app. So what can you actually bring to them and serve to them within the app with your influencer marketing? You know, you don't want to break that trust that you harness when you partner with an influencer by taking them to a website where you can't even, you know, see their face on it or anything like that. So it's all about kind of promoting that editorial exchange and involving your social media influencers with your brand, you know, every step of the way.
Yeah, also one thing that is very important right now is trust, because a lot of people got scammed with like product that never came or I heard a friend that bought a carpet, right? And the carpet arrived, the size was like this, you know? So on the picture you can see, but yeah. So you just, like, people are super susceptible. Whatever you're selling online, people are super susceptible. So if you can add like guarantees, if you can add like video of the products, virtual reality, as you were saying, anything that people trust, any guarantee, if you can give like a phone number on your website, anything that gives more trust to your potential customer, that will help a lot with your conversions, whatever your business is. So yeah, that's a good, very important point in 2021 as well. And work on your proofs as well. So if you do like a sales page, you have to, if you do a claim, you have to prove your claim, right? So if you say my product is giving you a better skin in 2 weeks, you have to explain why and prove why it gives a better skin in 2 weeks. So yeah, that's it. Proof is very important nowadays.
Yeah, be very careful where you're selling your products, man, because some people are starting to take the piss. Like, they'll receive their product, and I was selling this leather journal to this on this store, and it's real leather, and it smells like leather. This woman received the leather journal, and guess what she said? I want a refund because it smells too much like leather. So be very careful nowadays, because people are trying to do scams where they'll charge back, they'll buy a load of stuff. And you've got to put a process in place now where you're vet checking some of these customers, because trust me when I say this, they will try any little thing, you know.
And there's been some talk about, we're talking here about different social media platforms, and that kind of ties me on to media buying. And Will, you're obviously, running an online store. What are the kind of media buying strategies that you implement? And how did you go about doing that?
Yeah, it's been a lot of experimentation for us. We use a few unconventional media outlets. So we actually pumped some top-of-the-funnel ads on Twitter, which a lot of people tend to ignore and neglect. And we found that if you have a really strong organic pull on Twitter, plus adding the ads, it does great for your top-of-the-funnel activity. So recently what we've been doing that's been very successful is our top of the funnel activity on Twitter, some on Pinterest as well in terms of the ads, but then we convert a lot of them on Instagram and Facebook. So yeah, we bring them into the mix on these other platforms which are a bit cheaper to get their initial attention. And then we convert them within Instagram and Facebook, which tends to be better for conversion. But yeah, we're sort of changing our business model. So we're going for a more exclusivity, scarcity model going forward, where our whole push and drive is around email acquisition. So that's kind of changing our media buying as well. But yeah, that's typically how we do it.
So what's everybody doing here? Are they doing like paid ads, or are they doing influencer marketing? So if you're doing influencer marketing, put your hand up. No one's doing influencer marketing. 1, 2, 3. Who's doing actual paid ads like Google, Facebook? Now, which platform do you guys want knowledge on? Just shout which one. TikTok, okay. Instagram? Facebook. Yeah, but Facebook's boring. It's the same old, right? So what I would say with TikTok is, who here has actually tried running ads on TikTok? So I know a lot of people are thinking about doing it, but they actually haven't done it. Now, who here suffers from campaign budget not spending? One person. So with TikTok ads, I would say they're probably by far the best way you can advertise your product right now with any form of paid advertisement. Now, the biggest problems you're going to have with TikTok is your campaigns are just not going to spend the budget, and that's because the TikTok algorithm right now is not perfect. Now, the good thing about TikTok is it won't spend your money unless they know it's going to try and get you some money back. Now, with Facebook, they'll rinse your budget as quick as they can. Trust me when I say that. Now, so to get away with this budget issue that a lot of people are having is you need to make sure that your cost per click. So with TikTok, they've slowly rolled out where they'll manually do the bids for you. But back in the day, you had to bid for yourself. Now, I would recommend that anybody here that's having issues with their budget's not spending, try manual bidding. Now, if your campaign budget's $50, try 10% of that. So 10% of $50 would be $5. Try that as your bid, and then just keep increasing it slightly and see till it will spend, and eventually it will spend. If that doesn't work, try the actual interest reach. Try and make it bigger. If that doesn't work, try the country. Now, a lot of people here want to try and advertise in the States, but they can't because their account is stuck here. So the only way you can get around that is by using a VPN and use a US toll number, and then you can advertise in the US. And that works really well. Now, in terms of what actual content does well on TikTok, it's UGC content, user-generated content, where the user gets the content, they make it look like they're doing it themselves. So it's not professional, it's unprofessional content. And the key on TikTok, we found, because we've launched a lot of stores on there and done very, very well with them, is that the sound effect is the most important part of the ad. Like when people see the video, it's the sound and the music that will make the CTR go crazy, that, in my opinion.
And we would obviously talking about acquisition here. Beckii, in terms of your business, what have you found are your most effective strategies from a kind of influencer marketing agency in terms of winning business and then growing it and retaining it?
It's really a great feeling to say that the majority of our clients are repeat customers to us. So, you know, and I think part of that as well is we're a small business, so we can be quite nimble, and we can take on those, oh my God, I've only got 500 quid to put towards this, can you do something for us? And, you know, it's not sustainable in the long run to take such small campaigns, but then actually to win the trust and to give them the results that they can see work for themselves. We can then continue to grow those budgets, grow the trust, and be able to, you know, partner with them for a longer term period. So I think building those relationships is more sustainable as well, because if your customers are long-term customers, you have actually got less work to do in terms of proving that it works. They already see that it works. They already believe in it. Now it's, can we experiment? Can we try some different approaches? You know, we have different offerings that we have within our influencer marketing. So we can offer content creation, as mentioned, to use within paid ads, or we can offer research functionalities within social media to help brands understand, while somebody's, you know, analytics and their stats might be very similar to another influencer, actually the audience sentiment is completely different from one to the next, and those touch points with the brand are going to differ as a result of that. So you can get really granular and very interesting with what you can glean from influence marketing. So there's a lot more to it than I think people will think. But ultimately, as mentioned before, the trust building power of working with influencers is incredible, and sometimes you have to give it a little while and a few mentions and build those relationships with the influencer. But ultimately, when you're building that relationship with an influencer, you're building it with their audience as well, and that's going to have that long-term effect.
Yeah, nice. And we've spoken a bit this evening about the future, you know, and I know everyone has a propensity to look ahead. Leo, what do you think that the next big thing is? Like, where if we're sat here in 5 years' time, what are we talking about?
I think in the next 5 years, the businesses that will succeed are the businesses that have the best product and client satisfaction, because everything is getting more and more expensive. 5 years ago, I was selling a shitty product. I was selling shitty products with Facebook ads, and it was on like a extremely bad website, and it was making money because the traffic was so cheap. But now Facebook has gotten more and more and more and more and more expensive, and every year is going to get more expensive. So you can only make money with Facebook right now if you have, first of all, a good product. Secondly, customers are very satisfied, so you get good reviews and stuff. And then you get more orders in the future. And then you need to have like a very high AOV, so average order value, and LTV, long-term value. So if you sell a product like $27, right, or 27 pounds, whatever, then you need to make sure that you just don't make 27 pounds. You need to make sure that you make 200 pounds. And how do you do this? You sell an upsell, so which means a product. Okay, let's say you sell. You sell a bag. A bag. Okay, let's say you sell like a bag, right? Then you would sell like another product that is more expensive than the bag. So let's say you sell a bag, then you will sell the sunglasses that goes well with the bag, right? and then you sell another upsell, and then you can sell downsells as well, and then you can have recurring revenue with like subscription. You can have higher tickets if you have more like a service-based business. You can have high tickets in the back end, so like 2,000, 3,000, 10,000, 50,000, whatever. And this will allow you to pretty much spend money on ads because it's getting more and more expensive, and people that are succeeding on ads right now are people that are willing to spend the most. All right, so if you can afford to spend £50 to get a client, but your competitor can afford to spend £80 to get a client, then you're gonna lose and he's gonna get the clients. So increase your average order value. That's very important. And this is gonna be like this on all the platforms, right? So TikTok right now might be, I don't know if it's cheap or whatever, but if it's cheap right now, it's gonna get expensive because more and more people are gonna get it. So everything is getting more expensive, so you need to work on your math pretty much. So it's way more about the math behind your funnel than the actual price. So for example, I'm selling a product right now in e-commerce, which is $27. And a lot of people tell me, oh man, this product is great, you should sell it more, right? And I agree with this, but if I sell it more, then the math don't work, you know, because then I don't get the good clients in the back end and stuff. So you really need to focus on the math nowadays. And then also the future is going to be organic traffic. So building your brand, right? So building your personal brand if you want to sell stuff yourself, if you want to sell digital products, if you want to sell consulting services or services in general, the best way you can make money and be super profitable is by just like starting a YouTube channel, starting Instagram, growing on TikTok, and just growing your audience. And then you don't have to spend any money on ads because people are discovering you on social media, and then they come and ask for your services, right? So organic traffic is going to be a big thing, building your brand and just like focusing on this. And then if you really want to do ads, cold advertising, which means that you get clients that are never heard of you before and you get them with ads, then you really need to make sure that you have like a big long-term value for every customer in the long term. So yeah, that's it.
Yeah, just to add to that, I think the future is community. I think that's a massive thing, and brands actually seeking to own the data. There's so many people that are looking to run ads on this platform, that platform, but I think the power is adding enough value to the community that they give you their data and you actually own it, as opposed to always having to hire Facebook or Instagram or Twitter to get to the community. So I genuinely think the brands that are going to do well in the years to come are the brands that can build a community around their ethos, around what they stand for, so that they want to come along with you on that journey. And yeah, you'll see a lot more referrals from that. You see a lot more people trying to bring in other people because there's a genuine community.
Yeah, so I personally think the future of e-com's going to go down more of a decentralized way. So the way, I don't know if you guys know crypto, I think crypto is going to affect e-com massively with NFTs and identity authentication on the Shopify. So when people buy something, they know where it's coming from, where it's been, and so forth. That's going to be huge with e-commerce in the next 3 to 5 years. And when I say decentralized, I mean there's going to be a lot of social media platforms that will be built on decentralization, meaning that there's no higher power that will control these assets. And you will really have to gear towards this because everybody is now moving towards where they want something that isn't controlled by somebody that's so powerful. So a lot of these social media platforms, and I can tell you now, Facebook and Instagram are working on their own version of this right now. I don't know if anybody remembers Facebook and Instagram and WhatsApp going down the other week, and it was down for a whole day. Now, if it was decentralized, that would never have happened. So this is where it's going to go. And the other way I see the future of e-commerce going is people, like, when they see your advertisements, they want to see it in a virtual reality. So the same way when you see an ad pop up for you to see this new apartment, they will show you like a 3D virtual tour. It'd be like that for your product. That's going to be absolutely massive. And as these gentlemen were saying, it's all about building a community around your brand. So, for example, we have a clothing brand called Solar. We work with some of the biggest rappers in the world, people like Lil Baby. We've worked with people like Hardy Caprio, Crept In Conan. They're huge people. And it's all about building ads going towards these people, like bringing customers in. So we do like blasts of advertisements where for a certain amount of time we'll run paid ads, but then after those paid ads are run, we'll put them down a customer lifetime funnel where we're only organically interacting with these people, because you don't need to be running paid ads all the time to make money, because as long as you're getting enough people into your funnel and you're looking after these people, they will buy from you time and time and time again. So it's all about just keeping these people happy and being very honest and transparent with them about how you're managing their information, how you're advertising towards them, and things like that.
And we're going to open it up to the floor super shortly, but I thought, we'll finish with one more question, and I'd love to go down the panel for this. What would you say is the thing that you, and we'll start with you, Leo, that you're most proud of in your career, and the thing that was probably your biggest disappointment?
All right, so yeah, gotta think about this, man. Somebody wants to go first?
Most proud of the fact that I'm still going, I think. I don't think there's a particular moment I'd say I'm most proud of. They all just build towards, the growth of the business. And I wouldn't say I have a biggest disappointment, if I'm honest as well, because the lows, the failures, the disappointments, for me personally, I don't learn by someone shouting at me or talking to me. I actually learn through experience. And I think those disappointments have shaped my success even more than some of my wins. So, that's how I'd answer that.
Nice.
I would say the thing that I'm most proud about is the way I've built my personal brand is based on I'm changing everybody else's life first, but not mine. I was the guy that came into the game and I released free courses, never asked. I don't have a paid course. I have a mentorship program, but to get into that, you're probably going to get told to piss off. To be straight honest with people. But I released content for completely free, which was 6 hours long, 4 hours long, and I never asked for 1 penny for anything. And to have hundreds and thousands of people reach out to me and say, you know what, Cam, you've actually changed my life because of the free content you've put out there, which is better than a lot of these guys that charge you for it, it's got to be the most. Like, I get messages every single day, people saying that they've been able to achieve $100,000, $50,000, $1 million. So to be able to change hundreds and thousands of people's lives is a blessing to me.
Awesome. And how about you, Beckii?
I think Proudest is possibly the past year. I kind of set a challenge for ourselves at the beginning of the year, which was to get a little bit more industry recognition and authority within the space, because I think it altogether helps the business really well. And so I was out there applying for absolutely everything and any kind of awards, any kind of industry recognition that we could get. And I was just so proud that we managed to win Best Boutique Agency at the Influence Marketing Awards for this year, and to be such a young business and have come from such a small place. I think you, when you're in it yourself, you never really stop back to actually recognize what you've done, and certainly other people aren't going to recognize what you've done for you. You have to do it for yourself and remember to stop and celebrate yourself, and you've got to be in it to win it at the end of the day. So that was a really proud moment for us as a business. And then I think not the disappointment, but maybe just a low that came before that, was when I was 17. I was doing my social media and my YouTube and everything, and I really thought that my career had already peaked by that time, it sounds silly to say, but I'd already achieved a lot of success on YouTube, and I was not really sure where else to kind of go from there. I was like, this is it. It's going to be quite stationary standard life from here out. But I think it's actually just coming from that and realizing you can always pivot and you can always change, and it's not really about a failure. It's about moving towards the next challenge. So there's always going to be another, something better is still ahead of you, even though it might not feel like it at the time.
So what I'm the most proud of is, come on. It's a good question, so I gotta give a good answer. That I took the first step, because if you don't take the first step, then nothing happens. And then I just took massive action, because it's easy to create a website, a logo and stuff, but the hardest part is just like putting in the work, or just like going out there and reaching out to potential clients if you have like an agency, which is what I have right now. So you gotta, I'm just happy that I took massive action. And then I would say my biggest disappointment is just getting distracted with like too many projects, right? So once you start having some success with your business, you will have money available, and you will network with a lot of people. So you will meet a lot of people. And for example, this man on the left is selling watches, right? And 4 years ago, I would be like, oh, this guy is selling watches, is making killing from it. Maybe I should sell watches too, you know? So this is a problem that a lot of people have. So I think my biggest disappointment was like, for example, I should have just sticked to what I was really good at, which is what I'm doing now, and not just doing like a software company. I also had a clothing brand, which was a big fail as well. So just doing all those things was kind of like the biggest mistake I made. But once again, as they say, you learn from your mistakes. So I don't really regret it. You know, so.
Nice. And yeah, just a huge round of applause for the four of them. They've been amazing. So I want to open this up to the floor now. We've got plenty of time for this, so you know I'm sure we'll get to everyone. But yeah, if you want to, Leonard, what do you reckon about the acoustics in here? Will they be all right for people to shout, or do they need a mic? Yeah, stand up and speak super loudly, basically. So yeah, just someone want to raise a hand with a question and maybe direct it to someone at the panel. Yeah, over there in the hoodie. Yeah, please.
Yeah, so obviously you lot are good at what you do and you're successful now, but your success it's been a process, right? It's not just like overnight, it was an event that took place. So what I'm interested in knowing, before you were successful and even now, how did you deal with those times where it was a little bit tough and you know your whole like self-image was a bit defeated? Like how do you deal with that stuff? What's your process?
Yeah.
I'll just repeat the question just to make sure everyone could hear. So the question was, how did you react when times were really tough? How did you deal with that process and that growth?
Cool. So I think the main thing is keeping the vision at the forefront. I think going towards the vision continuously is what's going to keep you in the days, like the hard days today. So like looking forward to that vision and having that. It can be written down. It can be a poster in your room. Like always having that at the forefront will mean that you can see past the hurdles and the obstacles of today. And another thing I would say is always remember how far you've come. I think Beckii touched on it earlier. It's so easy to be in the midst of something and not realize you've actually already taken 1,000 steps towards what you're trying to build, and actually realizing that, okay, if I've taken those 1,000 steps, maybe I can take another 1,000. So yeah, it's keeping the vision at the forefront and remembering all the hurdles you've already jumped over would definitely help you to keep going.
Yeah, so for me personally, it's always, so who here has signed up to the gym 100 times? You get to the gym, you sign up, you cancel it, you go back again, you go back again, you go back again. Now, the reason why you're doing that is because the only person you've got in mind when you sign up to the gym is yourself. Now, the biggest thing that I did for myself that really helped me was I was thinking, well, what I'm doing now isn't for me. It's about my children. It's about my grandchildren. It's about my mom. It's about where it all came from. My family come from Pakistan. Now, we're in a country where a lot of Pakistanis who live here, they're not the most well off, you know? So it's about showing people that it doesn't matter where you come from ethnicity-wise, and showing the world that you can come from nothing and be the ones that everybody bets against, and you can still show up and show them that you can do whatever you want, you know?
I think when you're having those hard times as well, my biggest advice would be stop trying to do everything all by yourself. You get so stuck in your head. Have a friend or a colleague or someone who you can be in it with it together. It's an exciting and appealing idea to get in the trap of, I'm going to be, I'm the only owner of this business and this is all mine. But actually, if you have a really motivated partner who can come into this with you, and you can, cheer each other on, build it together, 2 minds is better than one, and ultimately, half of something is better than all of nothing, right? So I think it's a lot easier to keep momentum and to fill in the, we all have our strengths and weaknesses. Having somebody else to complement you who can help fill in, maybe your weaknesses or their strengths, you can really get there a lot quicker and a lot stronger as well if you're doing it with somebody else.
Yeah, mate.
Yeah.
If you fancy it, why not go for it?
Yeah, I would say just do it anyway. When you don't feel like doing something, just do it anyway. And if you're just like, oh man, it's not working, should I just like go get a job, right? Or should I give up now? Then it's always like you have to ask yourself, okay, I could go back and get a job, but then I would give up, So as long as you don't give up, you haven't totally failed, right? So I would just continue until you hit the success. And then no matter, you have to have a good business with potential, right? But if you focus on something for like 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, and you actually work on it, and you're just like a normal human, I don't see any reason why it couldn't work, It's not gonna work if you try something for 1 month and then it fails, and then you try another thing. And then you start doing e-commerce for 2 weeks, and then you're like, oh, this is shit. And then you create an agency for 2 months, and then it doesn't work. And so if you do this, of course it's not gonna work. But if you create an agency and you do it for 2 years and you just work on it, it's gonna work. If you do e-commerce and you do it for like 2 or 3 years and you just focus on this, it's gonna work. So just stick to one thing, spend some time outside the bubble, because to be in the bubble, you need to be outside the bubble sometime as well. So take some free time, go out with your friends and stuff. But if you stick to something, it's gonna work in the end.
Nice. Yeah, over there in the cap.
First of all, I'd like to thank you all for the tremendous value of providing content today. So thank you a lot for that. My question is, so for me personally, I had to jump from website to website, book to book, course to course, to gain the knowledge that I would need to pursue my passion basically in having a business. So my question to you guys is, when you're ready to pivot to a new strategy, what is your method in order for you guys to learn the next step basically? What's the resource or method you would guys use to learn more about something new that you guys want to move on to? That's the question.
Cool. My methodology is just 2 things: podcasts and testing, if I'm honest. So, like, if I'm going into a new region, I will absorb as many podcasts on that area, on that platform as humanly possible. And then I will test with a smaller budget, test with the smallest, literally the smallest possible version of it, see how that does and scale over time. So yeah, for me personally, it's podcasts and testing, but yeah, I'm sure the other panelists have different methods.
Yeah, so depending on what you're doing, because you're saying you're going from website to website and from this strategy to this strategy, if you're talking more like e-com related and selling products online, like if you just jump in, is that what you're referring to? Are you referring to like selling products online?
Marketing, sales, all of that. Yeah.
But what is it you do specifically?
Retailing.
Okay.
Dropshipping.
Okay, so let's say dropshipping, for example. Now, I see a lot of people that will watch my videos, give it a go. They spend a couple £100. They don't see anything. Then they go to another person's video and try and learn something else. Now, that's the biggest problem you can ever have. You've got to stick with one person, one strategy, and give it enough time to see how it goes, you know? If you've lost a couple £100, it can be a lot of money to some people, which fair enough, it probably is. But it's not enough to tell the time, you know, to see if it's actually going to plan out. So my best advice to you is, don't do what I call, which is just bunny hopping everywhere. Just stick to one thing, see how it goes. Until you're making 6 figures with that one thing, you shouldn't be bunny hopping around doing all these other things. It's no good. You're never going to actually get on with the one thing. And in terms of learning, like the person that might get you from 0 to 10K won't get you from 10 to 100K. You know, you have to reach out to other people, network. Because at the end of the day, my goal was to make 100 mil. Now, I need to speak to somebody that's gone and done 100 mil. But back when I wanted to go from 0 to 10K, I was speaking to somebody that's just done 0 to 10K, you know?
So your message is speaking to people who are better than you?
Yeah, 100%. Like, look, I'm not the best at what I do, man. Like, I know guys that are doing just... I've got friends that are doing like 3 mil a week selling some of the clothes that they've got. I'm not going to say their names, but yeah, and I'm just sitting there. I always like to go to the table with me being the smallest one on the table because I get inspired like hell. Like, I went to Dubai a few months ago, and don't get me wrong, I like the place, I don't like the place, but I was there, and there's a lot of money there, and I liked it because where I live, I feel like I'm super rich. But when I go over there and I meet these guys, I'm thinking, fuck me, man. I've got nothing compared to some of these guys. You have to put yourself in uncomfortable positions where you know you're at the bottom of the table, you know?
Yeah, nice. Yeah, over there. And feel free to direct it specifically to someone as well.
So my issue, so I run an e-commerce store, as you know. Thanks, by the way, guys. Like, time for value, just as this gentleman said, like, listen, I just turned up and got tons from you, so I appreciate it. So I run an e-commerce store, and I'm at that stage where, so throughout the pandemic, when that started, I thought I'd either twiddle my thumbs or do something meaningful. So I got into a niche that I really enjoy, ended up being profitable, and it's selling some clothing within sort of the snow kind of sports arena. And I'm kind of conflicted in the sense that, so I had very little startup capital when I first started, so very, very little. I had a nice bit of profit over Christmas, and then it tanked obviously because it was seasonal. So I'm conflicted between, like, it's to do with product quality. So with my startup capital in the first place, I had a certain amount, I sell a cheap set of whatever these are, yeah? And there's a part of me that doesn't push it that hard, or doesn't get really into that social space, because there's a little bit that's kind of like, you don't fully believe that this product is exactly going to solve the problem, it's the best one out there. It does its job, and it's worth the money, but it's not what it really could be. But there's like this chicken and egg between, okay, well, I need some capital first, to then get a better quality set, to then really drive it up and be of true value. So how would you guys approach that when it comes to a quality versus capital thing? If that makes sense? Because at the moment, I've got enough to now buy some stock, but I'll put myself out of pocket if I go to that next level of quality and have to buy the same amount of units.
What do you think about that, Leo?
All right, so the people over there are probably going to hate me to say this, but if you don't have money, I don't think e-commerce is a good business. Because e-commerce, if you want it to work, you cannot sell a shitty product. You need to have like a good product that is like, that's just like different from the rest. You need to have like good branding, good packaging, and honestly, unless you're like extremely good at everything, it's gonna take money. So my opinion, and maybe the others are not gonna agree, is that if you don't have a lot of money to invest, when I say a lot, at least a few thousands, right? I would focus on selling services for like 2,000 or 3,000 in something that you're good at, and just make money out of it, because you have like 100% profit margins, you don't have any cost, and that works best, you know? So, I don't know, let's say you're good in fitness, right? I would just like sell fitness packages, for example, to entrepreneurs, right? That's just a random example, but we just help entrepreneurs get in better shape, and I would charge a service like this, and then you would make money out of it, and you would save 20,000, 30,000. And then if you really want to go to e-commerce, then I would start e-commerce. Back in the days, I started with e-commerce with no money, right? But it was super easy because the traffic was super cheap, and there was no saturation. It was not saturated at all. But nowadays, what I recommend is just like sell services.
I wouldn't say the demand isn't there. I think it's more good conscience.
I think, so you're able to sell out at the level you're at now, right? In terms of the standard of the products, right? So that means there's a niche in the market that's happy with that price point and that value product. Now, for your overall brand, you want to hit a higher echelon of market. You want to scale, and there's different methodologies to do that. One technique is a pre-order method, where you just need a sample. Once you have the sample and you're able to sell it well enough, then people can pre-order. Then you get the capital up front to then sell it to them, ship it to them at a later date. So it's just about if the capital's not there, if you don't have enough capital to execute how you would like, I would say continue as you are in terms of selling the products that you're selling. There's a need for it. There's a market for it. If you want to scale into other areas, look into the pre-order method. Look into methods where you get the capital up front. And then over time, if you have enough capital up front, you can just start selling it normally. But that's how I would transition into those other arenas.
That makes sense. I mean, like last year over Christmas, I made a bit of money, but I started with like absolutely nothing. And this time I've actually got some money to shove into season, which is going to be really good. But again, it's kind of like my conscience is that they're not as good as they could be. So what you're saying is if I keep selling that, you introduce that higher product.
There's nothing to feel bad about in terms of your conscious. The customer's happy with it. You're delivering. You're adding value. So I know you have a vision for something bigger, and that's good. Like, that's why they're coming to you, because you're someone that's had that vision, right? So there's nothing, you shouldn't feel anything on your conscience if the customer is happy. But if you do want to scale and you want to build into other arenas, and you don't quite have the capital, something like a pre-order package can really help for that.
Yeah, so what I'd say about this is what this gentleman referred to in terms of getting a service-based stuff off the ground. You don't have to do that. You can work a job and make the money. Like, for you to sell a service, it's up to you. If you want to do that, fair enough. You can make a lot of money. True. But what I would say in terms of where you are, because I was in this position last year during Q4 where we were drop shipping our product, and the biggest question I've got for you is, what's the feedback been so far from your customers? Have they been happy, or have they told you that the quality is a bit shit?
No, it's a great question. And you're going to get the odd person that will come back and say this isn't quite what I ordered. And the way I've marketed it, I've had marketed it as if they're the best thing since sliced bread. So like,
But are they the best thing? Are they the best thing since sliced bread?
So for example, like,
Well, then what I would say to you is, start selling the thing that's the best thing since sliced bread and undersell the thing that isn't. So you make what we call an upgrade purchase, where you can sell them the base model, the same way Apple will sell you the iPhone 11, but they'll also sell you the iPhone 11 Pro Max. So you make the one that you're conscious about, the base model, and then you make the one that you know is a better quality one, the higher tier model. Because we were drop shipping these cat beds last year, and we knew there was a better version of that product out there. But what we were also doing is we were contacting the supplier and we're saying, listen, mate, this is a bit shit quality, man. You need to work on this. Because how much money did you, if you don't mind me asking, how much did you make in revenue?
so far, since I started, it's about 70K.
Okay, so that's 70K more than that supplier was making before. So you need to say to him, listen, I want you to make this fucking better,
Yeah.
Get down and sort the quality out. But then also introduce the newer version, because can you get access to that newer version?
See, this is the thing, like most of the stuff that's on AliExpress, what I'm selling, is shit.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to have to go to a wholesaler and there will be minimum order quantity.
Not always.
No.
If you're working with an agent, you can work with agents that will do maybe max. Sometimes they'll do 10, sometimes they'll do 0. It just depends what you're willing to bring to the table. If you can show them you've done 70K with a product confidently, they'll say, well, look, I'll take you on board. No minimum order quantity. We'll see how it goes.
Sure. I mean, I struggle with that with CJ doing that. But I guess maybe
That's CJ. They're one of the biggest guys in the game. You got to go to the smaller guys that are hungry.
And MOQ is so easy to overcome. All
Yeah,
you need to
100%.
do is get on WhatsApp, have 10 of the factories that you're messaging at one time, get one person to lower their MOQ, you screenshot it, you go to the other factory, they're happy to do 20, are you happy to do 15? You then go to the other factory, look, they're happy to do 15, are you happy to do 12? Before you know it, you barter between the different factories and you can get the MOQ right down. So that's a strategy to help with that.
Nice. Thanks, guys. Right at the back with your hand up. Yeah. I'll repeat the question as well.
My question is more about like time management and work ethic. I'm pretty young and I'm also like a freelance photographer, and I also started my own workshop, which is surrounded by community. But I just wanted to know, like, when you first started, you didn't have the financial support or the opportunity to build a team. Like, where did all of your time go to when you woke up in the day? What was your work ethic like? Like, were you working constantly?
So the question is, what was your mindset and what was your work ethic when you first started out? So Beckii, I'll open that one up to you. And if we just, because I'm conscious of time and so we can get through as many questions as possible, we'll try and take each question per response rather than going down the panel.
I just say that when you're burnt out, you're no good to anybody. You're not producing your best work. You're not doing the best that you can provide. I think that it's so important to really maintain that balance and keep good hours. You know, just even if you're having to work in evenings and it's like, okay, I'm going to work between this hour, and then try not to spill out too much into it. Or if it's like I'm going to work Saturdays on my own business, then block it into the Saturday and try not to let it spill out too much. I think having that kind of discipline will give you more longevity and help you build it over a longer period of time, which is what it is. It's going the distance and doing the time over a long period of time. So I think just being kind to yourself and keeping a good balance and avoiding that kind of burnout is really important. For us, starting our business, we just have the three of us, and you do a lot of those admin tasks yourself. It is almost a case of when you have your own business, you spend 20% of the time doing your actual job, and then 80% of the time is doing all of running a business, like the doing the accounts, talking to setting up documents, setting up contracts, all that kind of thing. So it's fine to do that at the beginning, and then I think you just listen to your instinct of is my time being spent in the most sensible and smartest way it is right now. And if you're feeling that the time is right to then start to grow out, and it doesn't have to be a part-time or a full-time hire. It can just be freelance resource or virtual assistant, for example. Just freeing up those hours in the day in the most cost-effective way is going to be better for sustainability of your hours in the day.
Nice, thanks Beckii. Who else wants to ask a question? Yes, down there. So I'll open that one to Kamil. So how do you, the question was, how do you balance doing your e-commerce with also learning a new skill?
So the way I look at my daily life is I do my hardest tasks first. So whatever is my money-making tasks, they get done. And then whatever time I've got left over, which isn't money-making tasks, I can distribute that time to learning a new skill. So let's say, for example, it takes me 3 hours a day to get those money-making tasks out the way that guarantee to make me money. Then if I've got another 5 hours left, I can distribute that to a new skill.
Yes, on the chair.
Yeah, my question's a bit abstract, so it could be to anyone. Similar to what she said. How important do you think mindset is when starting up? And if it is important to you guys, how much of it has attributed to your success? And do you guys practice any kind of mindset or mindfulness, any exercises?
It'll make you or break you, put it that way.
I'll open that up to the floor. So does anyone practice any kind of mindfulness exercises? Anyone got anything worth sharing on their mindset?
I don't know if anybody hit on the stage here has suffered from it, but last year I suffered from a lot of mental health problems where I just went down the drain, just got really bad, So I think it's very important that if you're somebody that's young or somebody that isn't as confident and stuff like that, you practice on working on yourself, whether it be like just spending time in the morning just to think and clear your head, And I do a lot of meditation. It's none of this sitting down, crossing your legs and all that rubbish. Just sit in a place, just think for a little bit. And I also like to smell certain oils, like essential oils, and I like to listen to certain types of calming music. But I think it's very, very important that you've got to learn to live in your own mind, and you've got to learn that in life, anxiety is a natural thing. Humans try and avoid anxiety, but it's a natural thing, and if you embrace it, then you'll have no issues.
I'd also like to just add that I think that sometimes hustle culture can be quite toxic, and there's a lot of responsibility placed on, you're not doing your methods right, you're not manifesting it properly, you're not focusing on it enough, and that's why you're struggling or failing. It's so much of, I think, success is really down to luck, right place, right time, connections that you have, So I think don't be so hard on yourself that you're not magicking out of thin air with mindset. You know, it's a lot of factors play into it, and I think just be kind to yourself and don't be too hard on yourself about your methodology, because you know some people can just fall into the right place, right time, as I said, and so much happens just from that kind of thing as well. So I think, you know, being out there in the world and meeting the right people is sometimes more kind of important, or takes priority sometimes as well.
Nice, thanks guys. So we've got time for 2 more questions. Yes, second row.
Hi, I'm Crystal. So I basically left my job recently from a really big media company to go freelance by myself. But one thing I struggle a lot with is charging for my services in like my videography and social media managing. Because what I don't want to do is charge how much I know it should be, in the kind of fear that I might like lose potential clients because they might be like, oh, it's too much, or oh, this is not enough. So how do you kind of price your services and products accurately so you can kind of sustain yourself?
So may I ask you what are you selling exactly and for what price right now?
So I do social media managing and photography, and I usually charge like videos about like $250 a day, and then social media managing depending like anywhere between like $500 and $700 a month. But when I was working at my company, the freelancers made way more than that. So I'm like, I don't know how to kind of accurately do it in the sense so that I can gain more people, because obviously I don't have that paycheck anymore coming through every month.
So first of all, it's normal that you make less when you leave your job, right, and you start something new, because there's going to be a part like this, and then over a few months, if you make it work, then you're going to make more in the long term. So if I were you, I wouldn't stress too much about this. It's normal at the beginning. And then, so for your services, ideally you want to package them, because so you're doing it with the 700 a month thing, right? But I would just think about what my target customer needs, and I would create a package to answer that need, right? And also I would try to find a niche. So for example, I own a marketing agency called Cooves Agency, and we're in the beauty industry. So we help like plastic surgeons, clinics and stuff like that. But if I would be a marketing agency for everybody, then I would spread myself thin. You see what I mean? My message wouldn't be very strong. I wouldn't know how to contact potential clients very good. So if I were you, I would try to find a niche, you know? So maybe it can be real estate agents, it can be fashion, it can be whatever, you know?
I do kind of have a niche where I like kind of almost exclusively shoot on like film, like photography, film, and like VHS. So that's where a lot of my kind of like fashion clients or like brandings or like radio presenters and stuff come to me. But I kind of want to branch out into the more corporate world, like the people I was working for before. But it's like getting there again, because now I don't have the name of who I used to work for to kind of back me up and out my own. So it's a bit like.
Yeah, so the thing is, you cannot really create a need. You can, but it's not the best thing. So you have to like, if somebody is interested in a service like this, then they'll probably say yeah. If they're not interested, it's not because you have like a specific sales technique or whatever that suddenly going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to pay you 2,000 for this, right? So I would really try to like, so I would take a paper and a pen. I would write down like which company or what is your ideal client, your exact client, and I would say, oh, this is a company that is making that much in revenue, they have that many employees, and they need to do this and this and that, and they need exactly those type of services. And then I would just like go to those companies that need the service that you sell, and I would just like present the service. Okay, this is what I'm doing. Here is why it could benefit you, and this is what I can do, guys, for you. And then it's just a number game, just like outreaching a lot, whether it's through cold emails, cold calls, Instagram, LinkedIn, whatever. And I would just spend a lot of time just like contacting clients. That's how I get my clients. I go to like business events like this one. I might get a client in there, and then I just do a lot of outreach. I send emails, I do phone calls, and that's it.
Nice, thank you. Last question. Yeah, at the back, standing up.
Obviously, you guys have been successful. I want to know, what are your habits to success? Like, what's the best thing that you've learned to be
So we'll open that up to everyone, and if maybe everyone gives their number one to close. So the question was, what are the habits that you adopt that have opened you up to the success that you've had? So we'll start with you, Beckii, and we'll work towards me. I'll keep quiet though.
My biggest kind of habit is saying yes. So just being open to opportunities, even if it sounds like a bit weird or whatever, just like follow the path, right? There's things that, people are coming towards you, giving opportunities. Always just say yes to it. You never know who you'll meet along the way. If you're I think if you're seen as somebody who is really open to being involved with things, people will come and ask you to be involved with more and more, or they'll put you forward for other things. Really just being very open to the opportunities that are out there, and asking and saying yes and participating, and just being available, I think is a habit that I really deeply practice.
Yeah, so for me, it's just, with all these successful habits things, I think a lot of it's just a lot of BS. Well, I think the best thing you can do is just be consistent, and just stick to doing this thing. Like with me, I'm not, on paper, I'm nothing special, but the one thing that I'm a lot better at most people at is staying consistent, and when they're not doing anything, I'm doing something. Because when talent doesn't work, the only thing that will work is what you're doing right now, which is working hard, so that's it.
Yeah, I would say my habit is curiosity. Just always questioning, trying to understand how, like, the gap between how someone got from A to B, and actually just being curious around that, and being curious around the industry that I'm in. I think, just asking those questions would be my biggest habit that's led to success.
Same for me, asking a lot of questions, because you don't know what you don't know. So there are a lot of opportunities right now to start a very successful business, but we don't know about it because we don't see it. So just asking a lot of questions, being like very curious, is going to open your mind, and at some point you're going to be like, hold on, there's something to do here, and then you're going to take action, and then it's going to work.
Nice. Thank you so much, guys. You've been incredible. Leonard's going to spin some tunes, I think, now, and we're going to have a couple of drinks for those that want it. There's going to be some networking and chatting, but I just want everyone to give a massive round of applause to the panel. They've been amazing. Thanks, guys. And cheers, feel free to head to the bar, move around, do whatever. Thanks, guys.